This video contains subject matter that may be offensive to some viewers. Discretion is advised. The content is purely the opinion of Daryl L. Gray and the OMC, Original Nan Concepts brand. The ideas and statements expressed in the video should be considered mere opinions and editorial in nature. Any resemblance to individuals' real-life experiences or circumstances is purely coincidental.
Giving all glory to Yahweh, and we do so by Hashem HaMashiach Yahushai. It's your boy D Gray back again, about to do this class, and this week we're going to talk about white supremacy, as we always do, because that's what I talk about, white Christian nationalists as well. But today we're going to talk about this 1550 or 1350 thing that these white supremacists like to talk about all the time, that we're only 13% of the population, but we, or black folks, commit 50% of the crimes, which is bullshit. I was watching some videos on it after this Nick Fuentes, Pierce Morgan conversation. And of course, they all come out of the woodwork, out from under the rocks that they come from, to talk about, yeah, it's a true thing. 13% of the population, which is actually 13% of the population, 14% of the population, but 50% of the crimes committed. That's crazy. So I decided to do a video. I started to do a video last week, and I put it on my YouTube channel. I also took an excerpt from it and put it on TikTok. And on the TikTok, I isolated the part where I say anybody who says per capita, any white supremacist, white Christian national, or anybody else who decides to use per capita in relation to 1350, the ratio 1350, is an effing idiot. Is an effing idiot. And you should have seen them crawl out of the woodwork.
Per capita 1353.
Oh man, they were hot. They were hot. I went 2 days just going back and forth with these guys. And the thing about it is, I know why they're hot, because what they've done, these people from trailer parks and people with HVAC licenses and people who've really never done anything but pay taxes. What I did when I told them that anybody that uses per capita in relation to black criminality is an effing idiot, what I did, I took their intelligence away from them. I took their basis of intellectual dominance away from them. I made them feel like flipping idiots, because that's what they've been doing. They've been using that ratio, like they know fractions, to say that black people commit 50% of the crimes and we're only 13 to 14% of the population. They were hot. And of course, when they get mad, they come with the trolling. And you know, I'm down for it. I'm really with it. Clowning is what I love to do. And of course, after you clown them a few times and go to their profile and see that they're, one paycheck away from having to sell their double wide, then of course they back off, because I'm not with it. I ain't scared of you. You're not smarter than me. None of that shit. But today, what I wanted to get into is, I see a lot of them saying it, and I was tasking them with bringing proof. Bring proof of what your 1350 ratio. Bring proof. Bring primary sources. Bring a white paper. Bring a study that shows that. And they always tend to go to this FBI report from 2019. They go to this FBI 2019 database, and that's what they want to use. That's what the white supremacists want to use. I'm going to clarify that here in a little while, but first I want you to watch this video. This video is by a dude. He got in a little trouble a couple weeks ago because he was actually acting kind of right-wingish, but he pulled himself out of it. But I want you to pay attention to this particular video, because it goes directly along with what I've been talking about. Here we go.
Think we should do about the epidemic of black crime in our country? Okay, so I just spent like an hour talking to a misogynist. Now I'm going to spend another hour talking to a racist. Well, I actually have a question in return to you. What are we going to do about the epidemic, about the over-arrest and over-incarceration rate of innocent black people in America?
They're not innocent.
So, you know this first stat, okay? I know you do, because it plays into your racist tropes all the time. The population, what percent of it is black?
13.
13, 14. You were one off, 14%. And out of all of the exonerations in the American criminal justice system, what percentage of them are of black people?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it's the exact right amount, maybe. If it's
86%. Black people account for 14% of the American population. Meanwhile, they account for over 86% of the exonerations in the criminal justice system. So when you come up here and you tell me that we have an epidemic of crime in this country committed and perpetuated by black individuals, in all reality, what we truly have an epidemic of is the over-incarceration and over-arrest rate of black individuals for crimes that they didn't commit.
maybe if they didn't commit them directly, they were connected in some way.
No, an exoneration means that they're fully cleared. They're fully exonerated. There's no legal basis for prosecution. And if you believe that it's innocent until proven guilty, then you think they're innocent.
Do you think that's the reason why prison population is majority black?
Yeah, that's one of the really big ones.
So you don't think they're innocent? You don't think? I mean, you think they're innocent?
I would argue that one of the big reasons why black individuals are arrested for crimes at a disproportionate rate compared to white individuals and sentenced and thrown in jail would be the fact that they're over-arrested for crimes that they did not commit. So can you...
So I'm going to talk a lot about that in the videos that I'm going to make today. My man's doing a great job in debunking and dismantling this weirdo, but when I get into my videos, when I get into the slides and the data, not only am I gonna say it, I'm gonna show it to you. The standard of proof for me when I'm battling these TROGs is show your primary source, show an academic source, show a white paper, show some academic study, show something other than you just saying it, because that's what they've been leaning on. Somebody just said it one time. Somebody just said it. And they latched onto it because they're racist TROGs. So let's go back to the video and let my man cook, and then we'll go to my next one. We'll just let him cook. Hold on.
Please respond to that fact. Tell me why you think that black individuals account for over 80% of the exonerations in the criminal justice system.
Because they commit more crimes than white people.
Do you know what an exoneration is? And no, they don't account. They don't commit more crimes than white people. That's actually not true. Nominally, that's false.
I mean, yeah, because there's more white people in the U.S.
Black people
right, but then they still account for vast majority of all exonerations. Why?
Because we're filtering out. Gotta filter out.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, because they're all criminals, so I mean, that's good. That's great.
Okay, you have an IQ of like 10. You have an IQ of like 10. We're gonna move on to the next guest. That's what a very racist person looks like, by the way. He's so racist and dumb that he doesn't even know what exoneration means. He's saying that they're all criminals, therefore it's great that we're exonerating them. He doesn't even know that exoneration means to let free. An exoneration means to make innocent. An exoneration means to release from detention, release from jail, release from custody. Right? Dude. Oh my god. No, okay, what a racist POS. What a racist, completely racist POS. His brain is so fried by consuming Nick Fuentes and Marlon Gaines all day that he doesn't even know what exoneration means because it has like fucking 3 syllables, dude. Yeah, I'd say that the max amount of syllables that a racist like that can understand is maybe 2 on a good day. Maybe 2 on a good day. And that's why he didn't even know, right, what the word exoneration means. So, what do you...
So there it is. There it is. That's the lead into my class. Even the dominant society, members of the dominant society know. They know. They really know. Because, again, I forgot my man's name. He has done the research. He's done the study. He's looked it up. And that's all you ask, is that when you hear something like that, where you say all is a very powerful word in our society, because when you say all, it should mean all. And we know it's just not true. So let's move into the class. Let's move into what we're going to talk about. So when you run into somebody that brings up 1350, you immediately get on the defense because they say it with such vigor. They say it with their whole chest. They say it with such ego that you kind of doubt, well, maybe it could be right. Maybe we are just criminal by nature, right? They're bringing up fractions, for God's sake. 1350, man, that sounds pretty bad. And if the dominant society is saying it, it's got to be some semblance of truth to it. Just like when you hear a British person speak and they're giving you instruction, you listen, you think that these people are smarter because they got a British accent. A lot of us African Americans will hear some white person say something and we'll think, yeah, it must be true because some white person said it. I have a joke where I would tell my wife, you won't believe me unless some white person tells you. You won't believe what I'm telling you until a white person tells you. So when you hear 1350, you immediately go into defensive mode because could it be true? But let's see what the World Wide Web says. Let's see what the World Wide Web says. Let me get there. So this is what the World Wide Web says, the AI, okay? So let's see what it says. I queried it. What is 1530 or 1350, 1530 for whatever? What does that mean, right? I guess I got the numericals wrong. It's still about the same. It says the numeric code 1530 is a white supremacist code used to express an individual's agreement with racist demographic claims. It is the variant of the more common 13 or 1352 codes. See, I must have queried it wrong, but it corrected itself. The numbers reference a false claim that while black people make up approximately 13 or 15 in the specific variation of the U.S. population, they are responsible for a disproportionately higher percentage, often claimed as 30, 50, or 52 of violent crime, particularly murders. White supremacists use the code as shorthand, particularly in online forums or social media comments, to promote racial hatred and portray African Americans as inherently savage or criminal. The figures cited in these slogans are inaccurate, and the vast majority of violent crime is interracial. We commit crimes at basically the same rate per capita, okay? Committed by a person against a person of the same race, not interracial. Excuse me. Let me go back because I read that wrong. And the vast majority of violent crime is intra-racial, inside that group, committed by a person against a person of the same race, not interracial, not race upon another race. And then it tells you can go to the Anti-Defamation League to figure out what all of the white supremacist hand signs and all the other stuff look like. So even artificial intelligence, who's gathered all the information that it can possibly glean, will tell you that it's some bullshit. It's a trope. Just like I was saying to all those weirdos in the chat on my TikTok video. It's a trope. You haven't done the research on it. You haven't done anything. All you're doing is spouting off racial animosity and misinformation. But it goes even further than that. I was talking to a lady who was in my thread, right? And she was talking all this noise. It's got to be true. You just don't understand per capita. And I had even other people saying these African Americans just don't understand the word. They don't understand the phrase. You can't teach them the phrase because they don't understand the phrase. We understand the phrase. You're just a liar. But she brought up, well, it's proven. And I, of course, asked her where. Where is it proven? Show me what your source is. And 99% of the time, these people will go straight here. Let me show you what they do. They go straight to this. They go to the 2019 crime in the United States statistics from the FBI, right? from the FBI. And what they do is they tend to look at this portion right here. Let's bring it up here. They look at arrests. Arrests. She specifically said the 2019 FBI criminal statistics, table 43. A lot of them will send you to table 43. And they'll show you this, and they'll try to tell you that African Americans commit a lot of murder and non-negligent manslaughter. You see how close that number is? Right there. They say that's it right there. There's your 1450 or whatever it is, right? But I want you to go down, just go down below it. Look at all this. Look at this. What's the difference there? What's the difference there? But let's even go even further. This is arrests, not convictions. I want to make sure people understand. The total is 6 million. These are arrests in 2019. Total arrests across the board, 6,816,975. Out of that number, 4,729,290 white people were arrested. But only 1,815,144 African Americans. Let me show you something. I want to show you something real quick. If you do this, take that number, that 4,729,290, and subtract the 1,815,144, that's almost 3 million. 3 million more arrests. 3 million more arrests. There were 3 million more white people arrests than black people. That's a lot. 3 million? 3 million. That pretty much negates your 1350, 1450, or whatever you think it is. That pretty much negates all of that. All of it. That is a huge difference. So when they bring that up to you, when they bring this table up to you, because inevitably they will, make sure they see this. The difference is almost 3 million. 3 million more arrests. Arrests. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, to get more into it, let's get to the meat and potatoes. Why is it that black people seem to make up most of the what? Prison population? Why they're even arrested at 1,800,000? Why? Let's talk about it. So we talked about, on the World Wide Web, I queried, who were the most over-policed? Who were the most over-policed race of people in America? And I said, were black people the most over-policed? And it says, yes, this is AI. This is artificial intelligence gleaning all the information from across the World Wide Web. And what does it say? It says, yes, numerous studies and reports indicate that black neighborhoods are often over-policed in the terms of surveillance and minor infractions. So those arrests are a lot of minor infractions as well. Yet simultaneously underprotected when it comes to emergency services and solving serious crimes. So we're over-policed, as the young man had said, right? Over-policed, underprotected. Let's keep reading. Research highlights that police patrol black areas more frequently than other areas with similar crime rates. Over-policed, over-adjudicated, and socioeconomic factors leading to increased encounters and arrests for minor offenses. This phenomenon has several dimensions. Disproportionate exposure. We're not going to read everything. Racial disparities in stops and force. Let's read that one. Black residents are more likely to be stopped by police right? They call that racial profiling. And when police initiate an interaction, they are more likely to use or threaten force against black individuals compared to white or Hispanic residents. That demolishes this whole idea that black people make up more people in the prisons because we're over-policed. Unfairly, disproportionately so. Simultaneous over and under policing. Historical context. The current policing patterns in black communities are often linked to the history of U.S. policing, which includes the legacy of slave patrols, subsequent professionalization efforts that use racially biased crime statistics to justify increased policing in black neighborhoods. A lot of it is word of mouth because you're not going to find the data that support that we are more criminally inclined, okay? And then it talks about the perceptions of safety. Due to a history of negative interactions and concerns about the unequal treatment or physical harm, many black Americans report not trusting the police to treat them fairly because they won't. Encounters with police are also more likely to leave low-income people of color feeling unsafe. Overall, these findings suggest that policing strategies often reinforce existing racial and class divides with a focus on surveillance and control rather than community-centered public safety and well-being. That answers your policing question. That answers your over-policing. That answers why there are more black people in jail. Because they're over-policed, underprotected. Over-policed and underprotected. But let's even go further than that. The young man talked about exonerations. Let's go there. All right, let's start with the Syracuse Law Review. Let's look at the dates. The date here is October 13th, 2022. So this is even more contemporaneous than the 2019 report that they keep citing. So let's go there. This is written by Celine Ince, right? The National Registry of Exonerations. We'll try to get through these as quickly as possible. Some of these I will not read in their entirety. I'll just bring up the highlights. So it says right here in September of 2022, the National Registry of Exonerations released a report, demonstrating that black Americans are significantly more likely to face wrongful convictions than their white counterparts. The National Registry of Exoneration tracks down all known wrongful convictions in the United States since 1989. The report was made through the joint efforts of the University of California, Irvine Newkirk Center for Science and Society, the University of Michigan Law School, and the Michigan State University College of Law. The registry's first report on race and wrongful convictions was released in 2017. The September 2022 report contains more information and detail than the 2017 report, along with improved data. So, it says it so succinctly here that black Americans are significantly more likely to face wrongful convictions. So look at the chart here. Murder, 55%, right? These are all convictions, 55%. The white supremacists will say, look, they're only 14% of the population, but they got 55% of the murders. But you don't forget what this is about, exonerations. Remember the young man said 80+% of black Americans are exonerated on all crimes, not to mention just murders and violent crimes. According to the report, black Americans account for only 13.6% of the United States population. But this is your real 1350. But comprise 53% of exoneration since 1989. The young man said even more so, 80+%. But this legal law review, Syracuse Law Review, which I keep telling those people in my thread, bring up some academic sources, some scholarship to the table, not just what self-hating Nick Fuentes says, or even what Charlie Kirk says. Do you know Charlie Kirk didn't even have an undergraduate degree? That's what I heard allegedly. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if he did, he would know how to study, how to research. Research. Bring your primary sources. My degree is in criminal justice. This is all I do. My undergraduate degree is in security management and criminal justice. So this is my bailiwick. But here you go. 53%. It says, therefore, Black Americans are 7 times more likely to be falsely convicted of serious crimes than white Americans. The 3 types of crimes that result in the largest number of exonerations are murder, sexual assault, and drug crimes. Aren't those the big 3? Aren't those the big 3? Violent crimes. So your 1350, whatever it is, goes out the door. This idea that we are more criminally, we lean more towards criminality, ridiculous. To go further than that, if we lead the nation in exonerations, that really means that when a white person is convicted, it sticks. When white people are convicted, it sticks. Lower exonerations for white people means that most of the time you've done that. You've done it. So more criminality among white folks because it's less than 50% of exonerations. I'm not saying there aren't exonerations. I'm just saying we are exonerated more, which means you're committing more actual crimes than us. Let's keep it going. Let's go to the next one. Let's just go to the next one. I think this is going to tell you what this tells you exactly what I've been talking about. We won't read through it because for we don't have the time. We just don't have the time. Let's go to the next one. I will bring up the Michigan study because she did talk about Michigan. The National Registry of Exonerations highlights racial disparity and wrongful convictions. Again, Black people in the United States are 7 times more likely. That's what the other Syracuse Law Review said, right? Than white people to be falsely convicted of serious crimes. More likely to be the targets of police misconduct. Those are your bad apples. They think that it's not a systemic thing, but it is a systemic thing. If we're 7 times more likely, we're going to talk about over-policing here in a little while too. Police misconduct and spend longer in prison before being exonerated, according to a report released today by the National Registry of Exonerations. It goes back into the percentages. So this is the academic primary source, the scholastic proof that they never bring up, that when they bring it up to you, send them here. What year was this? This was in 2022. Again, not 2019, 2022. So it's more contemporaneous than the other one, right? Disparity is greatest in drug cases, which include 250 frame-ups. No, they're more criminally minded. No, they commit most of the crimes. We're framed more times than not. 69% of drug crimes exonerees, 69% of drug crime exonerees are Black. Are you looking at this? 69%. This is from the University of Michigan, their law school. 69%. That is tragic. That is catastrophic. And 16 are white. White people get framed up too, but not at 69%. Even though Black and white people use illegal drugs at similar rates. This is your primary source out there, people. This is a primary source. These people do this. This is what they do. This is a primary source. They even I like it that they put their picture and their names on this. You can go and ask them yourselves. These legal scholars, these PhDs, go ask the question. And this was only 3 years ago. Murder convictions and police misconduct are also higher for black defendants. The data further show that innocent black people are about 7.5 times more likely to be convicted of a murder than innocent white people. The convictions that led to murder exonerations of black defendants were almost 50% more likely to include misconduct by police officers than murder exonerations of white defendants. These police officers are out here framing people. And you think that that's gospel. You think when it comes out of their mouths is gospel. The study shows that we're being framed. There's misconduct by the people that were supposed to protect us. Misconduct over police. We're going to talk about it later, right? Let's talk about this one. Exonerations of misidentified residents have essentially stopped. Innocent black people have been almost 8 times more likely than white people to be falsely convicted of. This is a white man telling you this. The major cause of this disturbing racial disparity is the high danger of misidentification of black suspects by white victims. Yeah, they're going to go into that trope that we all look alike. Because you won't take the time to figure out who the real person is, because you don't really look at us, right? Significantly, exonerations of misidentified defendants have essentially stopped. In the past 12 years, only 2 convictions caused by mistaken witness identification have resulted in exonerations. DNA testing is now routinely used before trial, and it prevents hundreds of wrongful convictions of innocent suspects each year, perhaps more. Mostly black men who are accused of raping their women. We're not out here raping your women. Let me put myself back on the jumbotron. We're not raping you. We don't have to get rid of them. They're probably being talked into accusing us by some of you white supremacist males out there. Or you make them feel so bad about them wanting us, you better say he better have when this shows that we're not only women. We're just not. We're just not. Let's go to the next one. Let me get there. Let's go. This one. This one's not a long one. This is not a long one. This says MSU. This is let's go back. Michigan State University. Law school. Okay? Let me take that off. Look at this. This was this year. MSU professors' report revealed nearly 150 exonerations in 2024. Okay? It says in 2024, 147 people were exonerated in the U.S. after losing an average of 13.5 years of their lives to wrongful imprisonment for crimes they did not commit. Listen to this. Race continues to play a major role in this injustice. 78% of the exonerees were people of color, and 60% of all exonerees were black. 60%. In total, the exonerated people lost 1,980 years of life to prison and the states that made the errors are liable for more than $4.6 billion in damages. We are not committing more crimes than white people. We're being exonerated more than you, so we can't be committing more actual crimes than white people. 1350 is a fallacy. And I'm bringing primary sources. I'm bringing up academic studies and academic reports. None of you ever do that. None of you ever do that. I'm not going to read through that. You can look it up yourselves. Pause it if you want to go back and look and see what the URL is. Let's go to the next one. So this is from the National Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers. They did a report. Let's see what the date is on that. That's November 2022. A lot of them came out in November of 2022. It says race and policing. This is going into policing, being over-policed, overly arrested, and then overly exonerated. Police misconduct. Racially biased policing takes many different forms, from elevated police presences in the neighborhoods of marginalized communities to the disproportionate street and vehicle stops. Again, was it profiling, right? And searches to use of force to outright expressions of racism within some police departments. Your police departments in most of these places that don't have, police officers of color, they're nothing but white supremacist militia enclaves. Demonic white supremacist militia gangs and enclaves. Why don't you ever hear about the bikers and their drug activity and how violent they are? All these motorcycle gangs riding up and down through the South and Midwest. How come you don't hear about that? Right? We won't read everything, but we're going to read down here. A recent report by the Bureau of Justice Statistics on interactions between police and the public found that black residents were more than likely to be stopped by police than white or Hispanic residents, that black and Hispanic residents were more likely to have multiple contacts with the police than white residents, and that when police initiated an interaction, they were twice as likely to threaten or use force against black and Hispanic residents than white residents. More exonerations, false convictions, and it all starts on the street. It all starts on the street. That's why you can't trust police officers. A lot of you white people know that too. According to a report from the Sentencing Project, black Americans comprise 27% of all individuals arrested in America in 2016, about twice their proportion of the total population. See, you'd get a white supremacist that'll get a hold of this and say, see? But let's keep reading. Further, black youth made up 35% of juvenile arrests in 2016, despite only accounting for 15% of the total youth population in the U.S. The authors argue that the main drivers of these disparities include disproportionate levels of police contact with black Americans, residential segregation, and concentrated urban poverty, continuing broken windows policies in many cities and revenue-driven policing. That's a deeper dive than we would want to go into today, right? It says a local level data provides more insight into policing across the country. A study of traffic stops in San Diego between 2014 and 2015 found that black and Hispanic drivers were more likely than white drivers to be searched following a traffic stop. Even though white drivers were more likely to be found with contraband, you commit crimes at the same rate or more than minorities. Similarly, in 2016, a Chicago Police Accountability Task Force found that black and Latino drivers were searched by police 4 times as often as white drivers, even though police found contraband on white drivers twice as often. This is from the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You know where you can find it. There's the shield. Go and read about race and policing. Let's go to the next one. These are all agencies and academic institutions I'm giving you primary sources for. They'll never do this. They'll never do this. And some of you have never seen these sources, okay? I can't get deeper into them with you because, of course, we have to account for time. Let's go to the next one. So now this is Tufts. Tufts is also a university. This is also a university. It says how racial segregation and policing intersect in America. What we always want to do, we want to find the date. This was in 2020. This is in 2020, so it ain't that far off, right? It goes into the viral video of the brutal death of George Floyd. It talks about that. I know George Floyd is a trigger for you guys. You don't believe he was murdered. You believe he was a drug addict, crackhead, whatever it was. But the course that he was murdered. So that's where I go. That's where I go with it. Okay. So this was from a girl. Who wrote this? Robin Smighton. Okay. And so I guess they're asking questions and answers for this. And it says right here, Tufts now, the bulletin here says, can you talk about your research on what your research focuses on? And then this Danica Gordon says, my research looks at the relationship between black and white racial residential segregation and policing. I'm interested in how the police as an organization respond to and further construct segregated urban landscapes. So this word here, construct. Your police forces are actually integral in building and constructing and manufacturing and manipulating, right? Segregation in the cities and counties and towns that they work in. There's another side of town that they police harder. There's another one that they don't. And further, when they kind of commingle in the middle or however they do it, there are certain residents, aka black and Hispanics, when they commingle at the same rates, the minorities get more policed, even in common settings. That's how they construct and manipulate landscapes, all right? In what ways do police actions in communities you studied reflect and reinforce existing prejudices against those communities? And it says over-policing and under-policing produce two assumptions that have long impacted black communities. First, aggressive tactics like stop and frisk reinforce association between blackness and criminality. That's why we don't like stop and frisk. That's why we don't like to be racially profiled. Because even the rookie or the younger cops that come up in the younger law enforcement believe, they are taught that you should have aggressive or conduct aggressive stops with black folks because they've been taught that. Tasking officers to stop people who appear to be suspicious. Black skin is suspicious. Black skin is always going to be suspicious to those that are scared of us, all right? Who appear to be suspicious relies on long-standing racial stereotypes, tropes. 1350 is a trope. And saturating quote-unquote high crime areas with police conducting stops will inevitably affect innocent residents of poor communities of color. Indeed, we see vast racial disparities in stop practices in cities across the country, and we have ample evidence that stop-fray police-community relations undermine the legitimacy of the police and lead to disproportionate exposure to police violence. So we won't go through the whole thing, but of course, you see how racial segregation and over-policing, how that affects the African American. Let's go to the next one. Again, Tufts is a university. This is a study done by and some research done by Tufts University. You can pause it and get the URL for your own academic edification. Let's move to the next one. Let's see here. This is UCLA, Anderson. This might be a satellite campus for UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. Smartphone records reveal racial disparities in neighborhood policing. It's a research brief. Primary source, academic primary source, research, right? Researched by, look at these people. You got their names there. You can go and ask them questions. Send them your thoughts about it. But these are all academics, okay? Police patrol black areas more frequently than others with similar homicide rates and income levels. We don't commit crimes any more than white folks per capita. A study of police movements in 23 major U.S. cities finds officers spend considerably more time in black neighborhoods than other areas with similar socioeconomic demographics and crime-driven demand for police. Not that they're committing more crimes in those areas. It's because they just decide to do it. Similar socioeconomic demographics and crime-driven demand for police. There's a demand for police that are even, yet they continue to over-police in certain black neighborhoods. The findings derived from, what does it say, anonymized? The findings derived from anonymized smartphone records of more than 10,000 working officers suggest that black people are far more likely to be arrested than other racial groups, largely because they encounter police more often. About half of the racial disparities in arrests may be due to differences in exposure times to police, according to the paper forthcoming in the Review of Economics and Statistics by UCLA Anderson's M. Keith Chen and Yilin Zhao, or Zhuo, a PhD student, Indiana University's Catherine L. Christensen, and American University's Alicia John, and UC Irvine's Emily Owens. See, these are the people that are doing the research, okay? So what does that tell you? Our interactions and our proximity to police, warranted or not, subsequently will end and normally end in more arrests of black and Hispanics in those neighborhoods. Moving on to convictions, and based on the data that's been given, exonerations as well. So there you have it. Your 1350 blacks commit more crimes than white folks? No. We're not prone to more criminality than the white supremacists, white Christian nationalists, or whatever. We are over-policed. We are harassed more by law enforcement. We are subject to misconduct by police. We are convicted more based on that, and we're exonerated more. Once again, remember, we make up 50 to 80% of all exonerations for every crime. White people are arrested at 3 million times more based on the FBI chart of 2019, tab 43. White people are arrested 3 million times more a year than black folks. And if you account for less than 50% of the exonerations, that means you're committing more crimes than black folks. These convictions are manufactured by a broken justice system. I've given you the academic sources, the primary sources. I've given you the names of the PhDs, the doctorate having personnel that have done the research, and there's probably more. I've showed you what the great intelligence in the sky says. Your 1350 trope is a lie. And if you haven't even done the 20 minutes of research that I've done to blow that out of the water, and you're just parroting some nonsense Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk said, you're about as dumb as the rock and bug next to you crawled out from under.
1353 is true.
You're not smart, you're not better, you're not superior. You're more criminally, what does it say? What do you want to say? You're more criminally minded, and the fact that you would tell that bald-faced lie on black people and run with it says a lot about you. And I'm not talking about all white people, because most of this research was done by white academics. These people had some character about them. These people who were very, very comfortable in their skin. They had no ego. These are the most confident and competent white people you're going to find, because they have no agenda other than to tell the truth. So this idea, this trope you came up with, if you're not meeting the criteria that I've shown you, I've debunked your table 43. I've debunked your we are more criminally minded. I debunked that all police officers are telling the truth when they're not. And if you continue to move in that direction, you are the devil the Bible speaks of. So I say that as the end of my video. So giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. And we do so by Hashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. Look, share this video with everybody. Share and post this video, because this is very, very integral and very important information. I watch a lot of videos where people say a lot of things where even black folks will say, no, we're not. We're not doing it. We're not as bad. We're not committing those crimes. But they never come back and show you the primary sources and the research that has been done. They never show you that. Even the people that are defending themselves. And watch. If you watch Charlie Kirk and you watch Nick Fuentes, you watch whomever is out there saying this goofy shit, even Myron Gaines, that coon, black folks saying goofy shit, those little Hodge twins weirdos, they never bring up any statistics. They're just talking. Right? Show them where they can get the primary sources. Those are not all the primary sources. There are more. There are more. So share this video. This is important, because we're going to kill that 1350 trope. We're going to kill this idea that black people are more criminally minded. We're going to kill this with the fact that we are the most convicted, we are harassed and most convicted and mostly imprisoned, but we are most exonerated, because we're not that. We're not criminals as a whole. Shalom.
Looking for the truth like God show me a sign. I'm not religious or the holiest kind, but the blessings came to me when I opened my